a Windows 8 Forums video production. Visit us at windows8forums.com.
Hello, everyone. This is Mike Fara here, Microsoft MVP. I'm here with my friend Ross Cameron, who's also hello, also a Microsoft MVP. And we have with us Michael Myles. He also goes by the handle whoosh on Windows8forums.com and Windows7forums.com. And we're here just to take a look at Windows 8 together, actually.
Hi there. Yeah.
How are you? So, Ross, do you want to say anything?
No, over to you, Mike. Maybe Ross, I don't know.
Ross?
Just that initially, after initial trepidation, I'm really finding Windows 8 as, the more I discover, the more I'm enjoying it, really. It's a new departure in so far as the Metro and losing the start button, but I think that's the biggest hurdle. I think if Microsoft can get over that hurdle of convincing people that they don't need it, then I think they might be onto a winner. But that seems to be the biggest bugbear with people at the moment, I think, anyway. I don't know what you guys feel about that.
Well, I'll just chime in for a second.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, we're in a virtual machine. We're connected through some remote desktop software, and we have with us two other people, including myself. We're in the virtual machine that I've created with Windows 8 Consumer Preview Edition, and I personally have mixed feelings about Windows 8 so far. I've tried to test it extensively, but I haven't gone as far as someone like Ross has. In fact, he is using it as his primary desktop right now. And I am sort of on the bench, on the fence here with the operating system, and I'm still looking at different features of it and trying to make up my mind as to whether or not I would be willing to upgrade or recommend that others upgrade based on the features that I'm seeing in the consumer preview. One of the big turnoffs for me has been the start screen. As many of you who've watched my previous videos know, I'm not too fond of the start screen, but I believe after talking to Ross for quite a while that it may just be my lack of knowledge in how to manipulate it to my liking. Now, I don't know about you, Whoosh, and of course we call him Whoosh because we just have always called him Whoosh. That's his name. Whoosh, what do you think about what is your experience been with Windows 8, and what do you like or dislike about it?
Basically, I run a desktop computer, and I find the Metro is conflicting with the other part of Windows 8, which is the desktop. You've got this kind of schizophrenic lineup. The Metro is ideal in a tablet situation, but I find it less than ideal. It actually goes against the grain for me because you've got this Metro, which I have no desire to use. I wish to use the desktop area, which just happens to have no start menu, no start org, which I just find counterintuitive. It just doesn't suit my purposes. So for now, I'm just running Windows 7. I tried to like Windows 8, but unfortunately, I just cannot bring myself to do so at the moment.
I think a lot of people are in that position right now. Mm-hmm. Ross, what's your take on the whole thing?
Definitely, I think instantly, people have sort of, whereas, they sort of look at the operating system as soon as the desktop appears, and it's sort of all. The thing is with Windows, it sort of begins and ends with the start button. That's where you turn it on, or find your programs, and that's where you turn it off, sort of thing. But the way I've sort of approached it is the start menu, or the Metro Center, or whatever we're going to term it, is now basically my all programs center. This is where normally to get to your all programs, unless you've got you've got something in the taskbar there, you've basically got to click on your start all to get to your programs, unless you've got you use icons on your desktop, of course. But if you don't like icons like me, if you like a clean desktop, then of course always have to click on the start menu, which is no different to going to the bottom of the right-hand screen, left-hand part of the screen, and clicking there to go into this start menu of the Windows 8 Metro start section. And I've also discovered that this, through various blogs and reading online and whatever, that you can chop and change your icons in there. You can manipulate them, move them about, and create certain blocks of what are your favorite apps, and what you're going to use, what you use mainly, and those can be all named. So you could have a block of what's your desktop items, and then applications, and then gaming icons, and you can get it spread out. So now I find that I'm having to click even less than I had to in Windows 7. And the more I find out, the more I find how quick it is to move from either out of the desktop into a Metro app. And similarly, if I'm in a Metro app and I've got it in a full screen situation, and I'm not really I'm not either not liking it in that full screen situation for whatever reason, it's easy enough just to right click and sort of go back to the desktop. I think Microsoft's job really is to try and inform people, or get people, if you can get people over this hill of having no start orb, I think they'd be onto a winner. But it's just a case of education, I think, because it really is. It's they've done a great deal of thinking towards it. It's not just been thrown together. I don't think it has anyway. And I'm really enjoying it. Maybe I'm one of the few, but I certainly like it.
Well, for example, I mean, the start menu has been around for so long. I think that's maybe what's throwing people into like a shock. For me, I know it certainly did. First, with the developer preview, at least they still had, you could still access the start menu, and then it all changed. But Ross, I mean, looking at it, there's a lot that I don't know that you do know about how to deal with this stuff. Specifically, for example, organizing the menu screens and stuff. Do you want to sort of demonstrate that, like just to show it?
Yeah, sure. I'll show a quick brief. I mean, when people initially open up the start menu, they've got this huge block of icons, and which of course is people look at it and think, oh my, what the hell is that? Well, you find that you can see. I mean, I've only been messing around with this start menu for the last 5 minutes or so, and I've managed to. You see, if I grab hold of this here, and you can see if I move it over to the left, you see there's a bar appear. You see the bar appear there?
Yes.
Now, if I just keep moving it a little bit more, what will happen is eventually it will jump, and then now that becomes another column.
Yeah.
Okay, and I can just pop that back to where it was. And now normally these columns are, it seems, are two of these icons wide. The smaller icons there that you see. This one, that one. There, these columns are always sort of too wide. They will go wider if I take that one from there, sort of thing. I could sort of pop it into there and make it into 3 if it went, but it's not going to go for some reason. Anyway, it does do it. I assure you. Yeah. Okay, so it takes a few minutes just to organise it into. I mean, you don't really have to. I found that you don't really have to have everything in place straight away. You'll see what I mean in a second. Like, it doesn't have to be bang on perfect of the icons in their particular places. The reason why I'm saying this is if you now go to the bottom of the screen and to the scroll bar at the bottom of the screen and go over to the extreme right, where you normally go for your charms, which is, if you go to the top right, there are your charms. But if you go down to the get rid of that, you'll see that this little icon button in the corner here, and if you click that, it reduces everything down. And so this then allows you, if you right-click on a section, you see modify. You'll see name group comes up. Click on that, and then you can name that section to whatever you want it to be, whether it's desktop, games, etc., etc. Now, once they're all named, what you find is, let me just go back to that. Once you find that they've become they're named and becomes blocks, you can, well, they don't even have to become named. You can manipulate them even further. You can move them around into alphabetical order. And I've also found that once they've been named as well, when they go back to their bigger size, they tend to stay together a bit better. If you see, when I sort of move one to move it into a different section, depending on the size of it, it can get a bit, it seems to go all over the place and what have you. Also, some of these tiles will go smaller. If you right-click on them, you'll notice down in the bottom left there that you see where it says smaller, and I can just click on it there and it'll just go smaller. And so again, it gives you further room for customization.
Grouping is good,
yeah. And so now mine, I've got sort of at the start I've got desktop games and production office suites and stuff like that. So it doesn't take long before you've got something which it looks good. It's easy to access, and the beauty of 8 as well is I can go away from the desktop, leave everything running in the desktop, and go and have a play in the start menu, access anything I want to, and still go back to the desktop, and everything's still there. Nothing's gone. Nothing's been shut down. It's still all working, and I just find it a lot easier to navigate around.
I know it's less hungry for power, 8. I had noticed in the brief time I used it how fast it seemed, and I mentioned it to people I knew on the internet, and some people said no, it's just because it's a fresh install, but having read further, I'm led to believe that Windows 8 actually is a little faster than 7.
Yeah, I mean, I've not. I don't know about mine, but I've not actually benchmarked as regards to say apps. file sharing and the like and stuff. But games, I've benchmarked games, and it's either equivalent to or slightly faster. And of course, Windows 8 uses the 1.2 wooden driver, which is an improvement on the 1.1, which is what Windows 7 uses. And if you're using a reasonable LED screen, the way the visual, the GUI and the games seem to just pop off the screen. I don't know why. It seems to be of a lot more clarity to the visuals. In fact, I've even, as I was saying to Mike earlier, I've even gone through putting on my old back catalogue of games simply because I want to look at because they look so good. They really do look so good. Yeah.
I play Unreal Tournament, which is a very old game going back to 1999, and it works perfectly on Windows 8, I've noticed.
Yeah.
And the clarity was excellent. The drivers all worked fine, no problems whatsoever.
Yeah.
Well, it's safe to say that most applications and games that worked in Windows 7 will work in Windows 8, with a few exceptions. What was that one game, Ross, you said didn't work? It was Crysis 2, right?
Well, yeah, the game actually ran okay, but it was just that when I tried to start up the DX11 portion of the game, there's like an add-in you can to turn it into a DX11 game, and for some reason it wouldn't have that. Now, whether that's due to immature drivers, I would assume. I think once we're a bit further down the road, that problem should be solved, because Dirt 2, that's a DX11 game, albeit it's not massively DX11. There's only a little bit in there, but that runs fine. There's another, also the benchmark, the Heaven benchmark, which is as you know, it's a total DX11 type benchmark, and that runs absolutely fine. So I assume that Crysis 2 is just something that needs to be sorted in the driver, I guess.
In the in DirectX or in the game?
Well, I assume it could be the DirectX actually, but I was thinking more of the actual, graphics driver itself.
Oh, right. Yeah, I mean, even this virtual machine is a bit slow because the drivers are dependent on Windows 7 compatible virtualization drivers, and it hasn't. The virtualization is optimized here for Windows 7 and not Windows 8. So there are areas where, I mean, even the Aero experience will just slow down a bit,
Yeah. And of course, it's a beta still. Of course, we must remember.
Right, of course. Yeah, consumer preview, and no doubt there's going to be a lot of work leading up to, I guess, October of this year when the final release will be out.
Supposedly. This is what we're hearing, isn't it? I think I read something today about it saying October.
Yeah, and that's traditionally, they released XP in October. Vista was the only one in recent memory where they didn't release it in October. And they did release 7 in October as well, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
So it wouldn't be surprising.
Sure.
Certainly at the end of the year at some point. I think if there's a delay in development or a last-minute problem that they discover, they do have some leeway. Because if you notice with the consumer preview, they made sure that it expires January 15th of 2013. So I would say that that's almost like an indicator that by January 15th, 2013, no matter what, you're going to have the final version out.
Yeah.
Unless something, catastrophic happens or something where everybody quits or something. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. But let's see. What else what else can we look forward to with this?
I don't know if you've noticed, just another little thing I've noticed, if you notice the store icon here,
right.
You notice it's got a figure there.
In what way do you say?
You see you see the actual icon itself.
Yeah.
You see there's a figure 8 there.
Right.
Yes.
What that figure relates to is that there are 8 updates
in the store since it was last visited.
That's right. Yeah. Basically, that means that the stuff that you've already got installed, there is a further 8 updates for the apps you've already got. It's not for eight further new apps or anything like that. It's just saying that there's some updates to the apps you've already got.
And if you don't mind me moving the cursor, I noticed this with mail as well. If you look down, you have 9. Those are the 9 emails I haven't read yet in my Hotmail Live account. Windows Live.
That's it. That will only work as long as you've got a live account.
Right.
I've not noticed it. I run Office, so I'm using Outlook. So unless there's a way to configure it, of course. I mean, there probably is. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Well, I think there will be with the next. I'm sorry, Whoosh. I think with the next version of Office, they're certainly going to integrate all of the stuff, the live services with Windows 8 into that.
Yeah.
And you also have Office 365. Which is the online version. But go ahead, Whoosh, sorry.
Yeah, I was very interested in what Ross was saying, both the way you configured the Metro to its purposes by grouping, etc., and pointing out that the store held 8 updates, plus as yourself, Mike, pointed out about the mail, showing that there are 9 emails to be looked at further down the line. I must admit, it is making it seem much more interesting than prior to this conversation.
Well, that's the thing, is that this is dynamic content being streamed directly to what was the start menu. I mean, if you even look here, and this is sort of semi-private stuff from this is streaming from Facebook, and these are friends of mine, actually. Michelle Moraldo runs her own website, and I'm going to be doing some web design with her, hopefully. And yeah, I mean, all that stuff's coming from Facebook. It's the status updates I don't know how often they're, what's going on here, but there's definitely updates going on with that, and that's being updated frequently. So, you have that. Here's a question, Ross. And I don't know the answer to this, otherwise I wouldn't ask it. But, like, for example, we have Fraps installed here, right? It's not running right now because we're not using it. But if I install Fraps, does that automatically appear on the start screen because I installed it? Or do I have to somehow add it?
Usually, I found it. Usually, it does. But if it doesn't, then normally you'll get an icon on the desktop, and of course, it's just a case of right-clicking and pinning
it to the start screen.
Yeah, right. But normally, and I was sort of doing it automatically, seeing the icon on the desktop, right-clicking, pin to start, and then I would realise I'd got 2 icons in the start menu. So it was sort of doing it anyway. But yeah, usually it usually pops one in straight away. I mean, interestingly, I today downloaded the latest GPUZ, which is your it's like CPUZ, isn't it? It tells you basically all about your your graphics card that you're using, and normally it's not really an X of sorts. It's just a program that runs straight away. It doesn't really install it onto your machine. It sort of it just runs without. There's no X really. But Windows 8 installed it as if it was an X, and put like a put an icon in the start menu, which I thought was really. I thought that was quite clever to do that.
Right.
Yeah.
If you run a vast amount of software, would you find the Metro might get rather bulky, a bit hard to handle?
It depends. I mean, there's only a certain amount of stuff you always use, isn't there?
Yeah.
Now, I mean, let's say if you wanted access to the rest of your apps, and which you haven't got here in this selection here. I mean, what I've done, I mean, I've removed stuff that I don't use, and I've brought in stuff that I do use.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to find everything that you do, you know how to access all your apps, do you?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Here's a question. Sorry to interrupt, but can you, like, look, see how I'm selecting these multiple selections here?
Okay.
If I want to move them all at the same time, can I? Like, you know.
Do you know I've not even tried that?
Yeah, it's not letting me. That would be nice.
Okay.
I think that would be nice if they added that. Either that or I don't know how to do it. But
sure. Yeah, maybe.
Cool.
If you want to access all your apps, it's just a case of right-clicking on the screen.
Yeah.
And a bar icon. You see all apps?
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Well, what happens if you have thousands, though? You know, well, then you have a search here, don't you? That's what this is. Yeah. Why is Fraps there like that? That's odd.
Maybe because you've been using it.
Right.
Huh.
I
don't know.
Oh, sorry, I hit escape. No, I was just looking at how you can group things, and I'm trying to.
Yeah.
You know, I'm trying to sort of.
Could you possibly put apps within apps? In other words, like a folder. Could you do that or not?
Yeah, I did try that. What happened was he created the folder and he did put it into the start menu. Let's say I created a folder for it. I can't remember what I called it now, but just for example, it was something like gaming or whatever.
Yeah.
But what actually happened was I would click on the folder and it would then take me onto the desktop, open the folder, and of course the icons would be inside the folder.
Yeah.
So it didn't actually open up the folder within the start menu, if you see what I mean. It took you to the desktop and then opened it up.
Oh, that's a shame.
Yeah. See, it's interesting here now. You can see Mike is obviously sorting out his start.
Yeah.
Which is, that's just the way to do it.
Yeah, sure.
It's just so easy. Once you know how, it's just so easy. And I think once people realise this is what you can do with it,
sure, yeah.
Boom, and eventually you become so quick. Because of course there's only so many apps. I mean, I find there's only so many icons I click on a regular basis. There must be like about 5, 6, 7.
I suppose in a way it's like having shortcuts on your desktop. The apps take the place of those, but at the same time on the desktop you have shortcuts as well available if you require them.
If you wanted them, yeah. You see, I don't like that. I always like to have a really nice picture on my desktop and nothing, no icons and stuff. But
yeah. So this is really where the Metro comes into its own. It is basically your shortcuts, but it shows everything, doesn't it, as well?
Yeah, but you see, I'm not sure whether, let's say, if you would use it slightly differently, if you was using like a handheld device.
Oh yeah, you would. You'd be in the Metro more or less entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, you see, Mike's in the Metro IE.
Yeah, this is the Metro IE. If I want to bring it back to the desktop, Ross, what do I...
Okay, yeah. If you want to... now you've right-clicked, haven't you, to bring up that thing there.
Right.
But if you wanted to just get rid of everything, move the cursor to the top of the screen.
Do you want to get...
Oops, top of the screen there. Drag it down. to the bottom. Maybe I'm not getting it down. And of course, he gets rid of it, and he takes you straight back to the start menu.
Oh, that's what closes it. Yeah,
that's what closes your apps. This is the other way to close your apps. Is to, if you go into the bottom left-hand corner, and you can see that obviously it's highlighting the desktop there.
Right.
Now, let's say we had another app open. In fact, let's open something else, say, just for the hell of it. Well, let's just open that up. Okay, we've opened up Pinball. But if I wanted to close that,
I think we're just kind of wait a second. We have Microsoft Studios and all that stuff coming up.
Yeah. I don't know if you see how I'm highlighting in the corner. I'm highlighting the start menu.
Right.
To bring up the start menu. Just slide the cursor up. You see how it appears at the top there? The app should appear as well somewhere.
Pinball FX is showing main screen.
Yeah. So let's say that's obviously still open. I've just gone in. See how it's open there?
Yeah.
Right. What does that
close
do?
It. Just right click it and close.
Right.
And that's how you close them.
Now,
sometimes they appear at the top usually. I don't know, maybe it's because it's in a virtual machine.
I
do something different.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can either there's two ways of closing them. You know, is either right click them like that in the left hand side, or move your cursor to the top of the screen and then just pull it down to the bottom, and that shuts it.
Now,
and it doesn't matter how many what you've got open on the desktop. I mean, I find it such a fantastic way. Rather than go around clicking everything shut, I just slide the cursor to the top of the screen, pull it down, everything's shut.
And of course, if you just type with the keyboard, you can go pinball, and that'll come up as well. If you imagine if you have, like Whoosh was saying before, if you have thousands of applications for whatever reason on the system, you would be able to do it that way, I suppose.
Yeah.
Here's another question. I go back to Internet Explorer, right? How do I get this on the desktop? So it's not a Metro app, it's rendered in the desktop instead.
I think it's either if you right click it or not. Let's see if we right click again. It's one of these.
Pin to start.
You can, of course, pin it to the taskbar.
Yeah, but I mean, from Metro, I've seen a way to do it, and
there is a way to take it to the desktop. There is a way. I know there is.
I've had it on the desktop. Obviously, I'm not in there at the moment.
Well, I believe that's if you launch it from the desktop. But there is a way to take the Metro one and convert it to the desktop version.
There we go.
Yeah.
See the little
so you
spanner?
clicked right there on the tool icon.
Configuration. Yeah.
View on the desktop. Let's go ahead and see that. And there you go.
There we go.
Brilliant.
Now, go ahead, Whoosh.
No, I was going to say you're whetting my appetite now, Ross and Mike. You're making it sound very interesting.
Yeah. It's honestly, once you start getting used to these, it's just a case with anything, isn't it? Really, just getting used to it.
I think I went in the shop when I actually first saw it. I thought, what the heck? This is rather difficult and beyond the norm, which it is. It's a completely different way of looking at an operating system.
Yeah, it's certainly different. I mean, I must admit, when I first saw it, I thought, oh my, how am I going to get used to this? But yeah.
I even installed it and took one look. After I'd installed it the first time and then uninstalled it, I thought, well, I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to put it. I took one look and I was so disheartened at the time. I uninstalled it, but now maybe with a fresh look,
Yeah, yeah. That's the thing. It's like you wanted to like it because it's sort of Microsoft stuff, and you either get on with Microsoft stuff or you don't. But normally, you want to like it, sort of thing. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, yeah. But it's definitely got potential, I think. Really.
I've noticed the speed as well, and also the capability to run on a very low-end system as well. Which
exactly, these very small ARM computer chips that run on absolutely nothing. This is the operating system for them.
The ARM architecture, right? I don't know if you guys just noticed this, but I just installed Chrome rather quickly.
Sure, yeah.
I just synced up with my whole account. I have all my bookmarks, my shortcuts. And it did automatically just place it on the desktop. It asked me what default browser I wanted. I don't know if you saw that on the top right-hand corner of the desktop. It asked me. And here it is. So if I double-click here, it's not a Metro app, so it'll launch it in the desktop. Mm-hmm. But I have my stuff. There you go.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I'm very excited now. I must admit you've whetted my appetite with these demonstrations, but I will wait until it's actually available to purchase. But I feel quite optimistic now.
Anybody have any idea how we can use SkyDrive? Well, obviously without, if you use SkyDrive now, you use Windows Live, right? You download the Windows Live in Windows 7. Yeah. But what about in this thing? I mean, like how does this work if it's like,
To be honest, I think they're just
preview.
I think you just put stuff in those. Do you know what I mean? They're a place for you to put.
These are all favorites, but yeah.
Yeah.
But like, these are files of it. I can put documents in here.
Exactly.
So add files, choose add, and then pick the files you want to add. So I'm going to do that. Yeah. I have nothing in documents. That's why in the documents library. And of course, the documents library is controlled from where else but the desktop.
We are talking SkyDrive as in the one you can access from Windows 7.
Or your download from the internet.
Yeah.
SkyDrive is the online storage system.
Yeah. Sure, I use it for my photos, memories, and any software that I'm particularly not wishing to lose,
Well, I've started using, to be honest, I never really used SkyDrive a whole great deal until Windows 8. And now I kind of use it a whole lot more.
Oh, you got me going now. I seriously mean that. I think when Windows 8 does finally arrive on the shelves, I'll be purchased.
Have you not thought about dual booting at all, or
Oh yeah, but I like the lack of complexity having the one.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, but I will keep
often better.
Yeah, I'll be watching closely the improvements and changes over time in Windows 8.
Well, yeah.
Now, let me ask you guys a question. Let's see. Where are you located, Whoosh?
Oh, I'm in London. I'm in a place called Teddington in Middlesex.
How do you spell that?
Which one? Teddington?
Yes.
Teddington. That's it.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to add you here. And when we click here on the weather app, we get quite a bit of information about the weather, the hourly forecast, the daily forecast, and we actually get regional temperature information, precipitation, national information, cloud coverage, satellite, and we get the historic weather.
Yeah, I love this app. I think it's fantastic. And if you want to change the into centigrade or Fahrenheit, you just go to your charms and
charms.
Yeah, charms. If you go to the top right,
go ahead, whoosh, or Ross.
Yeah, get your charms up there. You see, click on settings.
Oh, I see.
Click on settings there, and there you can have your units: Fahrenheit, Celsius.
I see.
Etc., etc. Yeah, see, that's another little place that you need to look out for. This,
charms.
Whenever you've got something open, check your charms settings and your charms for anything else that you might.
Go back to. Let me go back to charms real quick.
Sure.
See if I can get there. And settings, right?
Mm-hmm.
Permissions. What's that all about? Wow, this app's oh, yes. Access your location. Right. Okay. And I am in New York. I don't know why this one is here or how I can delete it, this New Jersey one. But I'll set this as my default by right-clicking and go set as default. And now I will know my weather. So that is actually a very nice feature there. And if I want to close this, hold on, what do? I
and then just pull down to the bottom.
I say.
That's it. And go.
There we go.
And it's quite warm in New York at the moment.
Oh, yes. The weather has turned very spring is here, definitely.
Yeah.
We've had quite a turnaround over the last week or two. It's unbelievable. Yeah. It was freezing about 2 or 3 weeks ago. And it is now very nice out. But, what are some things you guys think that first time people who install this consumer preview should know? I mean, in general, just offhand, what do you think? And of course, we have administrative tools here. Let me try to turn that off with charms, right? That's what I would use.
Yeah, and settings.
Whoops. Settings. And settings here. Show administrative tools. No. And there it goes. And now I don't have to scroll around because I have so few icons on my desktop here that it fits.
Until you start adding some more back, of course.
Right. Until I start installing some programs and so forth.
I mean, what I did was just click on all my apps, all the apps there, and then from that list there, if I wanted anything on the desktop, in the start menu, of course, just right click it and pin it to start.
Right.
So you can pick and choose which one you want. But what would I tell somebody? Is not be afraid to have a look. Really, don't be afraid to
explore.
It's very user friendly. As you know, you can return the operating system back to
factory defaults.
Yes.
You can.
That's correct.
Let me show you where I found that, Ross.
Oh, go for it.
Mind, I'll take control here. Under more PC settings, you have a whole slew of stuff here. And this is something I haven't explored yet. Matter of fact, we might as well do a whole nother video on this. But reset your PC and start over. Looks like, well, that you know what that's going to do is
they refresh.
It's going to give you a factory image.
So if you make a real mess of anything, it's within reach. It's basically like a system restore, isn't it?
All your well, here's what happens. It tells you all your personal files and apps will be removed. Your PC settings will be changed back to their defaults. I don't know if we want to do that right now, but
I did that accidentally, and I was also I set up quite a similar situation to Ross. I had configured it to my liking, and I thought, oh, PC refresh, which in my case was a fatal error because I went back to square one. Everything was, as they say, removed, and I hadn't read that. I just saw that there was the capability to refresh the PC and thought, I'll see what happens.
And of course, you know that Windows 8, all us guys tend to use Microsoft Security Essentials, but unfortunately it's not compatible with Windows 8.
Really? Oh, I was unaware of that.
If you notice, if you look at the Defender version that's on Windows 8, it does look very similar to the Microsoft Security Essentials. So whether they've sort of combined the two, I don't know. But,
they have it, and it is sort of a concept that they're calling Windows Defender Offline.
Okay.
It will incorporate the Microsoft Security Essentials suite, and it will have some additional features. Now, if you buy a commercial antivirus, will you be able to turn it off? Absolutely. Exactly how that will work, I'm not entirely sure.
Well, I'm using Avast 7 at the moment. I've turned Defender off, and I'm using Avast 7 along with malware bytes.
Right.
Yeah. I used ESET, and there was no problem with that.
Yeah, it's run beautiful. Absolutely, no problems whatsoever.
If you notice,
if that didn't say Windows Defender above there, you'd think it was MSC straight away, wouldn't you?
It's a combination of both, because if you notice, it has the Windows Defender version, the anti-malware client, which came with, I believe, Defender. Then it has the antivirus, anti-spyware definitions. It has a new engine, a network inspection system, which interacts with the firewall.
Right.
And yeah, it's doing a virus scan, a malware scan, and you have all the same types of stuff you had with MSC.
Yeah, and it's real time as well.
Yeah. Unfortunately, and just for the purposes of being unbiased, if you go to AV Comparatives, which is an independent testing lab, they scientifically test these antivirus programs. MSC, at least in 2011, was rated among the worst.
Really?
Yeah. The paid antivirus solutions always came out with better results with the heuristic scanning, in the wild detection. The paid programs almost always came out better. The top three were Kaspersky. Bitdefender was number 1, Kaspersky was number 2, and ESET Smart Security was number 3. But there were some other ones that I've never even heard of that were highly rated. And those are the types of antivirus suites that you won't see, at least here in the United States. You won't find them in like PC Magazine and things like that. You just won't, because there's a certain status quo here where, on every machine, if there's a contract that Dell has with McAfee, well, that's the antivirus that you're going to get. Or if it's with Symantec, that's the one you're going to get. And I know that AV Comparatives is good because Symantec is never on the list. They don't even rate it. But Symantec is good with their endpoint security, as far as from my experience. They're good with that for branch offices and stuff, if only to be able to filter content that people shouldn't be going to and logging what pages people are going to and stuff. But as far as the detection rate for Symantec and Norton, no, not. I can't endorse that still. But I use ESET, but my opinion is 1 in a million. I mean, you can safely navigate the web with AVG, the paid version, or even the free one, especially if you know what you're doing. I mean, if you're a highly experienced computer user like yourself, Ross, you don't have to worry too much about viruses. I mean, let's be
That's right. Yeah, well, because, like you say, it depends what you click on, isn't it? If you're
I mean, I'm paranoid about security. I use ESET Smart Security, and I have Malwarebytes Pro on my Windows 7 machine. I was never like that before, but I just decided, you know what? I want to make sure that my computer is 100% secure and everything.
Belt and braces, as they say.
I prefer super anti-spyware as an add-on to my antivirus.
Yeah, super anti. We when I was working in the field a lot, we used to use super anti-spyware. We used to use Hijack This for the reports, and we used to use Malwarebytes. That was before they came out with the professional one. The only difference between the professional version of Malwarebytes and the free version is that the professional version comes with a active protection module, so it's going to pick up the malware before it even hits your system.
Yeah.
It's got that active protection thing. But I just eliminated for my friend Justine. She had a problem with I don't know. I think it was called it was some sort of phishing fake antivirus program. Mm-hmm. And what I did was I did her a favor. I sent her over a copy of Smart Security and a copy of Malwarebytes. She ran Smart Security and Malwarebytes, cleaned out her entire system. She had previously had Microsoft Security Essentials, and it had done nothing for her whatsoever.
What about this Windows Defender? Is that any good?
Well, Windows Defender in Windows 8 is something that internally is being called Windows Defender Offline. But it is a combination of Windows Defender anti-malware definitions that were coming, those were being sent out separately with Windows 7, and it's going to include the Microsoft Security Essentials antivirus component. So they've combined it all into one utility. How effective that utility is or will be is something that completely remains to be seen. I mean, that's something that you're going to have independent tests on for that.
Yeah. Any idea when these tests might arise? Because that's an interesting thing. If the Windows 7 was so poor, maybe the Windows 8 will be a great improvement on that.
Well, these tests, I think with AV Comparatives, they do biannual testing, so like twice a year. I think they also do quarterly testing in some areas, but I'm not sure how often they do the testing. I know that they do in some cases, like at the end of the year, they may do a quarterly. So I'm sure if Windows 8 is released in October, you're going to get reviews from the mainstream media outlets. You're going to get reviews about the whole operating system immediately. And you're going to get the antivirus reviews from the actual labs. There's labs with computer scientists that actually test this stuff, and not, journalists that are just trying to, throw a story up there. These labs that have computer security specialists, they actually go ahead and do serious, like long, redundant testing in every possible scenario to try to figure out how effective these programs are. I imagine that would be done fairly quickly once Windows 8 is released. You have a lot of different interests looking into this to see what's going on.
Sure. I'm going to have to leave, gentlemen. I have to be up quite early in the morning. But it's been a fascinating discussion, and I hope to catch you again very shortly.
Definitely.
Well, certainly. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, I'll call it a night myself as well. I'm going to get up early soon. Yeah.
And
yeah, it's good.
Well, hopefully all our viewers will have enjoyed this, and we will see you on Windows8forums.com. We're just a website away. And if you'd like to talk to us about some of these videos or even be involved in them, you can contact our administrative team directly, and we'll go ahead and we will discuss whatever topic you want us to on Windows 8, the consumer preview. Thanks a lot. This has been Mike Fara and
Josh Cameron
and
Michael Myles, and good night to you.
Good night. Goodbye, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.